to Free Advice Friday. My name is Keri Barnum for New Shelves Books. We are here to talk about the business of being an author, book marketing, publishing, sometimes craft and writing. We really don't discriminate against questions. If it's something that you as an author or publisher are going to face, then we try to answer and be a community of support here. And you're welcome to join us live any Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern by going to newshelves.com/FAF. You do have to register, but it's free. And we also put our replays over on YouTube, which is youtube.com/New Shelves Books. We've got some questions live and we've got emailed questions, so we are going to get into those. The first one here is, what are the best strategies to use for a nonfiction business advice book that was published 2 years ago and did not get traction? The author is now ready to move the book forward. Ideas for book birthdays or anniversaries, winning an award. What can we do to get fresh attention? So this is important to note that it's a nonfiction book. If this were a fiction title, I would say, hey, do an ebook promo, run some ads, maybe submit for an award and just jump right back in, because fiction doesn't age quite as quickly as nonfiction does. But when we have nonfiction, and especially with an advice book, the question has to be asked is it outdated? And you have to answer honestly. If we have a book on, I don't know, if we have a book on, I don't know, healthy eating, chances are that's going to stand the test of time. Healthy eating habits are not changing, although fads change. The science behind it doesn't change too very often. We've already got a lot of data on it. However, if it is something where it's something that changes constantly, the publishing industry changes really quickly. So a book that's been out 2 years probably needs to be updated. So that question has to be answered first is this book still relevant? Is it dated? And if it's dated, is it a disservice to the reader? And those are really important and hard questions because no one wants to put out a new edition. No one is like, oh man, I just want to do some more work because now I'm ready to pay attention to this book that exhausted me so much that I didn't want to market it for 2 years. But it's really important. Now, if you can honestly look at that book and say, hey, it's not dated, it's still very relevant, then as far as how do you pull that back out, ads again can work. However, with nonfiction, there are some other things that you can do. Number one, if this person likes to be speaking in front of people, actually pitching for public speaking on the topic or going to conferences on the topic may help get exposure to the author, giving them credibility that then helps sell the book. Or social media is brilliant for this. People who are really, really good at disseminating information into short little bits, who can do little tips on their topic that may come from the book, doing videos and posting those regularly. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn is even kind of playing around with featuring these now. And of course, TikTok. But you have to figure out, where's my audience? What age group am I trying to get to? Who's going to be my buyer and who's going to be interested? So social media and videos may be an option depending on that. Awards, again, can be great. A lot of awards that are truly, I don't want to say legitimate, but the awards that really garner attention most of the time, those awards are timed, meaning that most of the awards that get attention and credibility require that a book be published within a certain time frame. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 years, but most of the time it's within the last year or within, it would be 2025, 2024, something like that. So you have to look at timelines. When looking at book awards, I always look at what do they give you aside from an award? Because just slapping an award on your cover is not going to get you the interest you want. But if book award winners are also mentioned in a lot of social media, if they get interviewed by the award team, if there's a press release that goes out or more marketing that goes into it, then those are the awards that usually are more worth putting your money into because it does cost money to submit for awards, anywhere from $25. I think the most expensive award I've seen was about $400 to submit. So that's one of the things that you have to consider as well. As far as a book birthday and anniversary, honestly, unless it's a big one like 10 years, 20 years, and it's something that's gotten so much clout and attention that you're doing a new edition, I would not bring attention to it. You're kind of just saying, hey, this book is old and it's still sitting here. So we don't really want to do that. But start talking about it again. Start sharing clips on social media. Start, blogging. If for nonfiction, if you're into blogging, maybe you get a Substack and you start talking about these topics in your Substack and you mention your book at the end. Different things like that is what I would personally go to. And again, ads always. Ads are how we get in front of readers. Ads are boring in the sense that people are like, oh, you just want to run ads. And it's like, yeah, I just want to run ads. And it's not exciting. It doesn't sound sexy, but I'm telling you, ads are how we get in front of readers. Getting in front of readers is how we get people to our sales page, which is what sells books. And so ads are always my go-to. If you're having problems selling your book and you're not running ads, save your budget. Facebook, you can do $2 a day. Save your budget, set it up, go run some ads, and then see if the market's out there for your book. So, those are some of the things that I would be doing. Also, if this person still is very relevant, podcasts, pitching for podcasts might be a really good option as well, because then they can kind of get their experience out there and talk about their book and send people over to the book. And all of these things is also important to note with nonfiction, aside from running ads, which, a marketing team or a publisher can run ads. All the rest, most of it really requires the author to be involved in part of that process. And I often tell authors, I can't want it more than you. I can't pretend to be you. I can't do the work for you, and I can't want it more than you. I'll support you. I'll give you tools. In some cases, I do some of the work for you, but I can't want it more, and I can't be you. So if you have brilliant information that's in a book, you're going to have to put some work into sharing that information as you. And that's really important. Really gone are the days where someone can like never be seen, never put themselves out there personally and sell a book. It just doesn't work, especially maybe with fiction, but with nonfiction, especially, it just doesn't work because we trust what we see. And the social proof is seeing that person, is engaging with that person. So it's really important for nonfiction. Let's see. I'm pursuing speaking engagement at conferences. I learned this week about the aspect of applying for press pass. Yep, you can apply for a press pass. You can go to conferences and then blog about it, write about it. Now, you don't always get approved for a press pass if you don't have an active platform or blog, or you're not writing for a known paper or magazine, something like that, but you can apply for it. And Jane Friedman does that a lot, where she goes with a press pass and then she reports on it. But she does have a large blog. She's got a large mailing list and a newsletter where she shares those things. So it's not just applying for it, it's kind of being able to say, this is where I'll be sharing the information. Because the reason why conferences and places like that will give a press pass is because it essentially creates free publicity for them when people are talking about it and writing about it. So that's certainly an option, but think about how you're going to share it and how you're going to position that when you're asking for one. Let's see. And is a memoir ageless? Yeah, a lot of times a story is ageless. However, that does not mean that sometimes a story in memoir, especially for some of them, sometimes the topic's more popular than other or more taboo. There are memoirs that came out 10 years ago that were perfectly acceptable, that the topics were something that people were interested in talking about. But today they'd fall flat, either because they're now taboo or it's just not trending, and different things like that. So yes, a memoir can be ageless, but that doesn't mean the topics will always be of high interest to the community. See, a bit of a weird question. I've shortlisted potential editors from multiple sources. They came up with different quotes, and I need to turn down a proposal with an editor I built a good relationship with. However, she is 4 times more expensive than an average than others, and it's unclear to me from her proposal on the difference she would make. I fear I won't get a very different editing from her. How do I turn an editor down without hard feelings? I think honest, it's like breakup advice, right? I think being forthright and honest, but clear cut and and not short because that sounds rude, but simply saying, thank you so much for all of your support and your proposal. I've found that, I really need a different pair of eyes on this, and I found someone that I think will help me move the story forward. I appreciate you. I'm going to keep your name for future projects. Thank you so much. Something like that. That was off the cuff. But the idea is number one, when you tell someone no, you don't have to tell them who else you're going with, why you're going with them, why you're choosing them or not. People don't owe me an explanation if they decide not to market with me. That's fine. And I am fine with that. If I'm not the best fit for you, then I want you to go find someone that's a better fit for you. Everyone will be happier. And most editors will feel that way as well. So I think don't over explain. You don't owe anyone full information. But just be very thankful, clear cut, and I will keep your name on file for future projects and to recommend to others or whatever it is, if it's true. Clear cut, honest, and also there's a way of ending an email that does not invite response. And I think that's important as well. Um, I think I'm going to go with someone else who offered me a lower quote. That leaves a big gap for them to respond and say, who, what was their quote, and so on and so forth. If this person simply is not a good fit for you, firmly just say, thank you so much. I found that I'm not going to go forward with you on this project, but I appreciate your insights. I'll keep your name for future projects and for recommendations. And I look forward to staying connected. Thanks so much. And yes, sign off. That does not invite a response other than thanks for letting me know and I really wish you luck on your project. So again, to the point, don't beat around the bush, don't over explain or give too much information. Simply you're going in a different direction. Thank you for your time and move on. And I will say, I have to th I have you I know you guys know that look where I'm trying to think of what I should say without putting my foot in my mouth. Um, I also have to say that if you are kind and you are clear and you say thank you for your time, but no thank you, if you did not, if you did not string this person along or use their services and not pay them, of course, all of those things aside. But if you simply asked for a quote, you are telling them up front, you're not ghosting them or anything. You're telling them up front, thank you, but it's not going to work for me. And if you do that, if you're clear cut, if you are kind, and if you simply say it's not going to work for me, if that person's feelings are hurt, if they choose to receive that in some sort of way that is damaging, it's really important for you to know that's not you, that's them. If you know that you did not string them along, you told them no thank you told them thank you for their time and you were kind. If they are upset, if they have mean things to say, if any of those things, that's on them, that's not on you. That's their choices. It's them dealing with their feelings. That's not on you. And it's okay after that to simply say, I'm done. I'm no longer responding. I've done this. I'm sorry. I'm not a good fit for your work in your book. I wish you every success. Signed. If they respond with an angry email, I do not owe them anything else. I may choose to respond, but that's bickering. And we're adults. Who has time for that? It's okay to say thank you, no thank you, and then be done. If someone responds in some sort of way that is angry or rude, um, that's okay. That's their problem, not yours. Let's see, Margie, am I assuming correctly I need a new ISBN number for a pocket-sized edition of a guidebook that is being published soon from an already published paperback? You are correct. If you have a new trim size or a new format, meaning if you had paperback, you're going to hardcover, or you had a 6 by 9 and you're going to a 3 by 7, then yes, you will need a new ISBN for that. It does not travel between formats. So every format will have a new ISBN. So yeah, you'll need a new ISBN for that. Let's see, I had some questions that were emailed in here. I'm going to answer Jane's question because I feel like my answer may have been a little surprising. Jane emailed me a question, and I responded with a very quick answer, but I told her I'd go into more detail of why and all the good stuff today. So, Jane is a prolific author who has written a cozy mystery series, and she already has, I believe, three books are out. Two were with the traditional press. She self-published the third one in the series, and she's got a fourth book that she's been writing that she plans to self-publish. Meanwhile, Jane has continued to traditionally publish. She has a novel coming up in October, late October. She's written some nonfiction books and so on and so forth. So Jane, as the smartest authors often do, has her hands in a lot of fires. I will actually say that some of the authors that are most future proof, that are making the most money, that are really enjoying writing a lot, many of them will actually do a combination of self publishing and traditional publishing. I actually talk about this. You guys know that I have a book coming out in early 2026. It's called Tough Love for Indie Authors. And this book is just like A to Z guide about publishing well. Do you want to self-publish? What it takes, what you need to do, marketing it. It's like everything. And one of the things that I talk about it because I use case studies. And one of the things I talk about is that authors who recognize that the trade has a place, but so does self-publishing. And more we are seeing authors who are using trade publishing. They're going with either big trade or smaller presses, and they are publishing that way, but they are also self-publishing books that maybe need to get to the market faster, or books that maybe they're too spicy for the trade. Maybe they're not trending with the trade. Whatever it may be, and they're doing both. And this is what Jane is doing. So I think it's brilliant that she's doing this and she's decided, hey, I have a lot of readers who love my cozy mystery series and I'm going to keep it up. And I love this. So the question then is, I've got this book written. It's now August. I've got this book written. It's set in September. It is a cozy fall read. So I'd really like to get it out this fall. However, I also have my trade book coming out October 21st. Should I get that cozy mystery out soon this year in 2025? Or should I wait, focus on only marketing the trade book, and put out that cozy mystery in January or February? Keeping in mind it's a fall cozy mystery. And my answer to Jane is publish it as soon as possible. As soon as you can reasonably, if it's written and edited, get a cover, format it, and publish that sucker now. Preferably by the beginning of September, and have a whole month of being able to celebrate that book as you're working up to the ramp up of your trade book in October. And then in October, you'll be able to focus on that book. And I'm sure this answer kind of surprises people for a couple of reasons, because I have been known to say, don't rush publishing. You need 4 to 6 months to really set up a book well. I also often talk about not publishing past like November 1st is the line that we do not cross unless it's holiday. So why did I give Jane this advice? There's a couple of reasons. This is the Cozy Mystery is a fourth book in series. We're not marketing this to a brand new audience. We are marketing this to an audience that Jane already has. Her readers that have already been following her, that have signed up for her notifications or her newsletter, that's who's going to read this book. We don't need a really long time for trade reviews and ramp up and pre-order campaigns, because Jane's audience is already here and ready. So, as always, I say market that first book in series, continually market that first book in series, and so that you're constantly building. Look, I'm so excited. I'm like throwing my computer. So you're constantly building the audience for the series. That's constant. That never stops. But we market book one to new readers. The rest of the series, book two, book three, and book four, as it comes out, we market to the audience we already have because that's who's going to read it. Generally speaking, people don't pick up book four of a series and just jump on it. And those who do, we already know, I think they're monsters. Because who does that? It's weird. And now that we can follow the thing. And then most of the time they're confused because there's kind of some information, even if it's written as a standalone, I promise you, it's not fully standalone. It's helpful to read the other books in the series. So, of course, that's opinion, not fact, but it's my opinion, and so I get to share it with all of you. Anyway, we market book one constantly. Our next books in series, we market to our audience. So if we can get this book out that's set in September, that's cozy, that's going to be the vibe for September and October, we want to market that as soon as possible and get it out. It's not going to hit as well in January. When we want cozy books that are set in the fall, we want them in the fall. Not to say we won't read them in January, but it's not going to have quite the same movement. So I think it's really important that when we're doing this, that we consider that. Also, we don't need a big ramp up because we've already got the audience for it. If you put this book and you announce, hey, this is coming out September 15th, and you put a pre order up even September 1st, that's fine because you've got a direct connection to your readers through places like your newsletter. Also, if they follow you on Amazon, they'll get notifications, BookBub, so on and so forth. So we don't have to ramp it up as early, and then we can market that book the whole time. The other reason why I'm not worried about it with the trade book coming out in October is that guess what? We've known this trade book was coming out for a long time. You know how I know? I just said I have a book coming out in February of 2026. You now know about my book coming out in 6 months. 6 months, I counted on my fingers. Um, you know about this book. You're going to hear me talk about it probably a lot. I'm sorry, but I'm not really sorry. You already know about it and you're going to hear about it for 6 months. So, having something else to tell your audience that's immediate gratification, or hey, while you're waiting for this super cool new book to come out in October, let me tell you about what's happening with Sister Agatha in the fourth book in the series. You're giving your audience something immediate to keep them engaged while they're waiting to get the next book. And most of your avid readers are going to read this new cozy mystery within days because that's cozy mystery readers. They're going to read it quickly and then they're going to be like, man, Jane is awesome. Her writing is spectacular. I really can't wait to get that new book in October. And it allows you to talk about Sister Agatha and the new Cozy Mystery series from mid-August until, mid to late September. Doesn't mean you don't talk about the other book at all, but you shift focus a little bit. And then you kind of go back to the trade book in October when it's coming out. Because a lot of that marketing and promotion has been planned for a long time, but it gives your readers a break and something immediate. So, while most of the time I will say, don't rush a publication. Wait. It's your only chance for trade reviews and things like that. When we're talking about a series, it's a little bit different. So in this instance, I would say if this book is done and edited, get your cover, get it formatted, get it up on pre-order, and start telling your people about it. Sound the horn, do the dance, whatever it takes, and let people know and get that book out. Hopefully, early September. I know that's a lot of work. I know what I'm asking, but that's what I would do. And then you still have full time to be talking about your new book in October. And if anything, you'll be re-engaging your readers actively right before your October launch. Now, if this were a new book, if this were a new first in series, a new standalone, I would be telling you to wait. If you said, hey, I have a trade book coming out October 21st, it's a new women's fiction standalone, and then I have another standalone book, I would be telling you to wait till January or February. So again, it's not always one size fits all. It depends on the book, depends on the author, depends on the audience and what you've done to build it. But that's the advice I would give for this one. And of course, my advice still stands that if you have a book coming out that's not specifically giftable or holiday themed, do not, do not publish that book after November 1st. Everything's just too holiday focused. So if you have a book that's not specific to that, you kind of get lost and pushed to the side. And so I would personally wait if that's the case, if there's not a reason you have to get it done this year. Let's see. Should I write my little bio on Amazon and website in first or third person? This really is personal preference. There's no right way to do it. Of course, we can say, I write this because I love it, or I was inspired to write, or we can do the third person of Keri Barnum writes this because of this. Um, Usually on places like Amazon or author profiles, it's going to be in third person, but sometimes that shifts and it might depend on the genre. If you're writing a business book, a how-to book, or something like that, I'd be going third person all the way. You write children's books or something that is like self-help and you want, depending on the type of self-help, you might say something like, I'm so glad you're here. I'm supporting you, blah, blah, blah. And you might almost write it more like a letter with your bio. But it depends on the book. Most of the time, we'd go for third person. Now, on your website, I really love on a website, on your, um, I like to have, usually on the home page, something that is very much, um, it's warm. It's fuzzy. I mean, again, it depends on the genre, but having something like, hey, reader, I'm so glad you're here. I've been a lifelong history buff, and that made me write historical fiction that has espionage and strong women and, cool people. And I hope you enjoy it. Sincerely, and then you put your name or, happy reading, whatever it is. And that's just kind of your intro. It's your fluffy communication, making friends. But then I also recommend that authors have an About the Author tab. And on the About the Author tab should be your official bio in third person. This is something that if someone's interviewing you, they should be able to go here and they should be able to take something and use it for that. If someone's using it for an article or anything else. So I like to see that in third person. It actually really peeves me when someone has About the Author is all, because then it makes it awkward to adapt if I have to adapt it for an article or a press release or something like that. So I do recommend you have a third person bio somewhere, but whether or not you do first person somewhere else, like on front page of your website or sometimes on Amazon it works. I've seen it on Goodreads too, kind of like inviting them to your page a little bit differently because that's more like social media and less like official, like your official web page. So it could be either. No clear-cut answers, right? But hopefully that gives you the information you need to feel like you can get your answers. All right. Barbara has a question. When I Google my book, it intermittently comes up on places like Abe Books, eBay, and sometimes others. It has only been uploaded to Amazon and Barnes& and Noble, not to Ingram Spark. Is this because someone has bought it on Amazon or Barnes& and Noble and is reselling it? Yep, Barbara, you nailed it. If you see your book, if you Google your book, you can see it on all sorts of weird sites. It might be secondhand sellers, it might be places like Abe Books or eBay. And there's a couple ways that people can get those books. You might even see on Amazon. When you search on Amazon, if you're not signed into an account with Prime, or if you search, like it may say like used copies available or something like that, and it'll show the other sellers other than Amazon. How do they get that? Well, number one, if your book is uploaded to Ingram Spark or it's on Amazon with expanded distribution, which expanded distribution, you guys, just gives KDP permission to upload your book to Ingram Spark. So it's on Ingram Spark and on Ingram. But if your book is up on Ingram, then that means anyone with a wholesale account can buy your book and they can sell it. They have to have a wholesale account and submit and say I have a store or whatever it is. And then they can submit and sell, or they can buy your book at whatever discount set on Ingram and they can resell your book. And that is how it also gets online through Ingram for places like Walmart.com, Target.com, because Walmart or Target is taking the information listing for sale because they're a wholesaler who can, or they have, a wholesale account so they can buy the book and get it. That does not mean that Walmart is like stocking copies in their warehouse. It means that if someone orders it, they know they can order from Ingram and ship it on to the consumer. And so they'll have it listed on their website. So that is how that works as far as even like getting out of bookshop.org and places like that. It comes from the Ingram listing. But if you're seeing places like secondhand stores, Abe Books, eBay, that's because secondhand copies exist. So someone could have ordered it from Barnes and Noble or Amazon. They could have someone who sold them secondhand books. So maybe I have a secondhand bookstore and someone bought your book, read it, and brought it into me and traded in for a new book, or they sold it back to me for $1, and now I'm going to list it on eBay for $5. So that's how it happens. And I sometimes get questions of like, well, how is that fair that they're selling my book secondhand and I get no profit from it? Well, that is what secondhand is. So you get paid from the original book sale, but if someone resells that book, then you don't make profit on it. You already made your profit on the original sale. Same thing if I have a garage sale and I sell a pair of jeans. Well, the store doesn't get a kickback. It's I bought the jeans and then whatever I sell them for, I get to keep because it's secondhand. And the same thing goes for books. So yes, people can sell your books because they got them wholesale and they're selling them as, a retailer, or they may get them secondhand and they're selling them used. Let's see. Should we include a media kit on the author website? Separate tab to download the kit or have a form for the media person or non-media type who is curious to request the kit? No form for requesting a kit. That is hassle nobody needs. What I do recommend is that I recommend that on your website you have an about the author section. And on the About the Author section is where we have your third person bio, your headshot, where people can download it. And should you have a media kit, I highly recommend you have a media kit, especially if you're pitching the media, and especially if you write nonfiction. If you're pitching the media articles or you have a nonfiction title, I highly recommend you have a media kit. And for that, my favorite way to do it is to actually just create a Dropbox folder or you can do it for free, just a Google folder where on this Google folder, you have a download of your high res author photo, a download of a high res book cover. You have a document with your bios. I think we talked about last week about how you should, oh no, I talked to author group on Wednesday. I'm mixing up what I said when. Author bios. You should have multiple author bios. You should have a tag author bio, which is like literally a sentence or a line. You should have a short author bio that's 50 words or less. You should have a longer author bio. And then you should have like the longest author bio that like tells your life story. Maybe not your whole life story, but at least enough of it to be interesting. Don't make stuff up if your life's not interesting. I'm sure you're interesting though. But you should have that, and having that in a like Word document where people can easily copy and paste it is brilliant. In this folder on Google or Dropbox, whatever floats your boat that you can share, then you can also include things like your press release, your book description, any photos, anything that would go in a media kit. And then you take this folder, you create a share link, again, very easy to do on Google for free. You create a share link, and then on your About the Author page, you say, click here to download my media kit or the media kit for Keri Barnum so that they can click and they can go and find all of those media assets if or when they need to use them. It's also very convenient because if you are pitching for any type of media, you can either send people to that specific page on your website to find out more about me and to download my full media kit, visit, and then you put your website, or you can just share the link directly to your media kit right there so that it's easily downloadable. That's the best way to share it. I very often will upload things as PDFs so they can't be altered. Of course, you want to make sure that if you're doing a share link, you want it to be view only. You do not want people to be able to edit your documents. I have in fact seen people share a link to Google folders and other such folders that was not view only, where people could edit the documents. And people have made edits in these documents, and the author never noticed. So we don't want to do that. Let's be smarter than that. But yeah, I absolutely recommend it. It's pretty easy to do, and it's easy to update because you're just going to update that folder. You don't have to go in and update your whole website as long as you're using the same folder, it's the same link. Let's see, we had another emailed question, and this one is about metadata. Metadata for use on KDP and Ingram Spark. For anyone who does not know, metadata is all the stuff that goes behind your book listing. It's the keywords, it's your title, it's your subtitle, it's your description. All of those make up the metadata or the information that goes into computer systems to catalog your book and also to help make it searchable on places like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Google, and all of that. That's your metadata. So, unlike with my first hybrid publisher, with my first book years ago, who gave me, this hybrid publisher, this new book, is giving me a more hands-on approach. I cannot read today. I promise that this letter was very beautifully written. I cannot read. So, prior hybrid publisher did a lot of this stuff for her. The new hybrid publisher is actually asking for everything and for the author to be more hands-on and to give more information about the book. So the publication assistant now wants to know a list of keywords and phrases for the book. Recommended 7 to 14 phrases, no more than 4 words each. Um, Key events, themes, genres, places, characters, etc. all might be in those keywords or phrases. And then there is room for key search words or phrases using a maximum up to 250 characters, including spaces. So essentially, they're just saying this is how much space you have. But essentially, the publisher is saying, hey, we need your metadata, we need your keywords and your phrases. And the author is now saying, great, let me do that. And how do I find them? I need help. Totally cool. There are a couple of things that you can do that will help you with your metadata. Number one, there are tools such as, you know that I am a big fan of Publisher Rocket, Dave Chesson's Publisher Rocket. I'm not sure if they have moved to a monthly purchase for but still a big fan of that program. So Publisher Rocket can be very helpful in finding your keywords. Sometimes you're just kind of, as your publishing assistant mentioned, thinking up a list of keywords and topics that would come up in the book, themes, genre, places, key events, and things like that, that people might search. The thing to remember with these keywords and metadata is it has to be something that someone would search in a search engine. So think of how people look for books. People do not look for a book and say, book set in Florida between 2020 and 2025. That's not how it works. Now, what people might search is beach reads or mysteries set in Florida. That's how it kind of works. So you can use something like Publisher Rocket, which can be very handy, or I'm going to get flack for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. AI can be really handy for this. I'm not saying you feed AI your full book. I am not saying anything like that. I'm not saying that you give it information. What I am saying is that you know what's already available to AI? Your public sales page, your book description, and your title. So it can actually be very handy to go to AI and say, using this book description, which is the first book in series in this genre, create and then give it the parameters your publisher did. Literally copy and paste the same parameters that your publisher gave you. See what it comes out with. It, if nothing else, will spark ideas. It's not stealing your information. That your book description is already publicly available on all the websites. Um, and it thinks like AI, which is becoming more important because a lot of these search engines, a lot of the sales platforms are starting to, if they haven't already built, they're starting to build their own AI search engines. Having AI help you with your keywords, I'm not saying you use them verbatim or you use them all. It can actually be really very helpful to start getting keywords that are in such a way that AI will be easier to find your book. In a day and age where people are going to ChatGPT and asking for book recommendations, and Amazon is developing Rufus, which is their AI search engine, it just makes sense. Also, a lot of software that does this kind of work, well, it will not say, hey, this is AI. It's AI and it's using AI to build this. Now, it may not be through the ChatGPT system, but a lot of them are using some form of AI. So it can be incredibly helpful. And then whatever it spits out, you may say, wow, this just makes so much sense. You may say, toddler in a kitchen with a knife. This thing's crazy. I mean, that's what it feels like sometimes. And you may have to adjust and pick and choose or give it different prompts. But it's a nice starting place, especially if you're feeling stuck. So that's the two places I would go. Publisher Rocket, I dearly love and I use it all the time. But if you don't have Publisher's Rocket or you're looking for more ideas or you're really trying to do this without paying for a new license or subscription, try ChatGPT or other AI, whatever you prefer to use, and it can be very helpful. So I think that can be very helpful. Let's see. Oh, yay. Also just reading that Elle has her elevator pitch down and it has literally used it and shared it in elevator rides, which I love that because I think it's so important. Because we talked about that last time. Having your elevator pitch, being able to get that out there quickly is super important. Let's see. I thought with A10, Amazon's new version, that we were moving away from keywords and now needed organic one sentence descriptions. No. So with the new Amazon, um, not so much. Keywords are still a thing. They are changing how it's used, and part of that is because of the AI system, because people are searching more in sentence format rather than a string of keywords. But keywords are still relevant. And also keep in mind that we're kind of in a crossroads where we've got some old stuff and some new stuff. And so usually I split about half and half, but no, keywords are still very much relevant. They're still metadata. I don't see them going away anytime soon. Probably not ever, in my opinion. I think that it will shift how we use them, but I think we'll always have kind of half keywords and then half thinking more of how people search more in a sentence structure, which is again for those AI chats that are finding our books and things. Yes. Totally true. All right, let's see. Are you noticing that a larger percentage of print-on-demand books versus offset printing are arriving damaged more frequently when the customer receives their book? Not necessarily. Now, print on demand books, it depends on where they're coming from. Now, keep in mind if you have a print on demand book that's being printed on Ingram Spark and it's selling on Amazon, then Ingram Spark or Amazon is ordering, let's say, a box of books from Ingram Spark. That box of books is being shipped to Amazon. It's then being warehoused. Someone orders it and then it's being shipped to the customer. So we have print, ship, stock stock, what's the word? Pack, and then ship. There's a lot of hands and a lot of room for books to get damaged. If it's coming directly from KDP, it's being printed. Once it's printed, it's immediately packaged and then it's shipped off. There's a lot less room for damage. So, but the same is true of offset printing. When you have an offset print book, it's offset print and that is shipped to the um, distributor. Then the distributor is packaging books up to send to the wholesaler. And then the wholesaler is sending them on to the end consumer, the retailer, whatever it is. So, no, in fact, sometimes I see where, as far as damages, not misprints, we see more misprints in print on demand versus offset. But as far as damages, I actually tend to see more of those in our offset print books. And it's very, very common. I have a client right now that has like 2,000 damaged books. Now that's 2,000 out of gosh, what was it? Like 60,000. But yes, damaged books are just part of it. And so if it comes directly from somewhere like Amazon, the consumer can send it back or request a new one. But sometimes the author ends up with the damaged books and you can sell them at a discount, use them for giveaways or that kind of thing. But specifically to your question, do I see more damages with print on demand books than offset? No, not necessarily. It's more in the shipping than anything and how many people are handling it and where it's being stored long term than anything. Let's see. I think I had one more question. Oh no, I got the metadata question. I think I answered everyone's questions, but if I missed any, put it in the Q&A and tell me I missed you. I wouldn't want to do that. And so I think that's really, let's see, copyright. Oh, here we go. Do you get a copyright on every book you write? Here's the thing about copyright in the US. Number one, I'm not a lawyer. I cannot give legal advice. I'm giving you information as I know it. You must make your own decisions or consult a lawyer. Covered I've covered my backside. And now with that, in the US, as soon as you write something, it is copyrighted. It's legally copyrighted. It's yours as soon as you write it. So copyright is inherent in the US. However, filing for copyright means that if you file for copyright, and you have to do it within, I believe it's 90 days of a book being published. It means that number one, you have a record of copyright, which can come in handy if anyone ever questions it. Um, which rarely happens, but when you have it, it's nice to have it, right? The other thing is that when you file with the Copyright Office, there's a legal record, and it means that should it ever go to court, you are eligible for more money in damages. To my understanding, again, not a lawyer. So essentially, if someone really abuses your copyright and get them for copyright infringement, you take them to court and there are damages, then you are eligible for more in damages because you have that legal copyright paper that has been filed within a certain amount of time. So, do I think filing for copyright is a great idea? I sure do. Is it required for copyright? It is not. It's not required. A lot of people do not file for copyright. It's not terribly expensive. The process is not terribly hard, but some people just don't do it. A lot of indie authors don't do it, but you can do it. That's up to you. I can't give legal advice. That's up to you. It does give you more in damages, but also keep in mind that the copyright's only good if you are going to protect it, just like a trademark. It's only good if you're going to protect it. So having a copyright is great, but if you're not being aware or have alerts for people using your copyright and you're not going to take legal action against them if they infringe on it, then it doesn't really matter if you have it or not. No one else is going to protect your copyright for you. Having a piece of paper does not mean that other people are going to go after these people. It means that if you see someone infringing on your copyright and you take action against them, or you hire a legal team to do so, um, that you may get more in damages, but you still have to you have to take the legal action. If a lawyer is involved, you got to hire and pay for a lawyer. So it's only as good as much as you use it or protect yourself with it. So yes, thank you, Jackie. It's 65 now for the standard application for copyright. And if you have a traditional publisher, they usually do file for copyright on your behalf. And I love this. Jane's idea of I put slightly damaged books in little free libraries. It's good marketing and it means people are going to read your book. So I think that's a great idea. All right. I think that's all our questions today, but this was fun, you guys. I always love that. I never know what we're going to get into. Thank you for joining me. If you do have questions that I didn't cover or they pop up into your mind, email them to me at info@newshelves.com. I will save them up and answer them next Friday. And we'll be here same time, same place. So join us then, newshelves.com/FAF. Until then, have a great weekend and I will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.